Hello, welcome to Viewpoint on ITV. I am Caroline Okonji, and today let's talk about self-defense and the extent with which one can actually go to defend himself or herself, and also look at some laws that support self-defense, making reference to the case of a Nigerian farmer, Sunday Jackson, who overpowered and killed a Fulani herdsman in self-defense, and also he has been sentenced to death by hanging. Despite claims that he acted purely in self-defense, the Supreme Court of Nigeria on March 7, 2025 upheld a lower court verdict, ruling that rather than retaliating, he should have fled. It's Viewpoint on ITV, so let's go meet and sample opinions of resource persons regarding this topic.
I don't think there is any extent that is too far when it comes to a life, an issue of life and death. It is the right of every individual to go any length to protect himself, his properties, and loved one. And that is why the 1999 Constitution has amended, instructed the government of the day that their primary responsibility is safety of the life and property of his citizens. Therefore, if you narrow it down to an individual, it will therefore tell you that his primary responsibility is to ensure that he defends himself, he protects himself and his property and loved ones from any attacks that may lead to life or a loss of life. And in the case of Sunday in question that was sentenced to death by the Supreme Court, I would say ordinarily it is regrettable, it is appalling, and it is very disappointing. The question I would have loved to ask, and I want to ask Nigeria, who were the prosecutors? Who prosecuted Sunday? Is it the Nigeria state that prosecuted Sunday, who defended himself in a situation where security agencies and the Nigerian system were unable to defend him? And I will also ask, what was the fact that were before the judges and the court? Was he established to the extent that those who wanted to sniff life out of Sunday were the killer herdsmen, or those facts were not available because they said the law is blind? Depends on the fact that were available before the judges. And who were the lawyers of Sunday? Was he appropriately represented and defended? And I want to say, in such manner, this matter have been visited with a series of public condemnation. The Supreme Court will now have the cause to revisit his decision, because he himself have the power to revisit his earlier decision, and it's not alien before the Constitution. So in this case, I say it is sad and it is evil, because if this is sustained, we are indirectly giving the killer herdsmen the impetus, the encouragement to further attack innocent Nigerians and innocent farmers, because the law, it seems to defend their actions.
Self-defense, one have to, even if you are not prepared, or you with the current situation in our country, let me just boil down to our local government area where we are, of their notice, with the current situation of security threat and all, one have to be ready for anything. You self-defense for yourself, because one, the police cannot be everywhere, the security operatives cannot be everywhere, but that does not warrant we owning rifles, assorted rifles, which is not registered, which is not does not comply with the government regulations. But we should be prepared for defense, because we don't have much security personnel that will go around or be belted for each and every citizen. But one should be ready to defend itself when you find crisis, or when you find something like that is going to endanger your life. So we should have that at the back of our mind. Well, that is APEP's court. They've delivered judgment. But on the other side, the court was wrong. Because if that man was murdered without he didn't defend himself, the story will not come up. It wouldn't get to even they will not, the people that killed him will not even be apprehended. But he defended himself on the cause of a security threat to his life. He defended himself in that extent. He killed. But I blame him for killing. If he has been able to maybe get one of them injured, apprehend them, hand them over to the security operative, it would have been better. I think that is the angle where the Court of Appeal or Supreme Court gave their own verdict. But for me, I think everyone should be prepared for self-defense, because the current situation in the country does not warrant us to be relaxed or just play a hanky-panky game with your own life. I value my life and I value the life of people around me. With the current situation of these headers, is getting alarming, and government cannot do it all alone. We should also be prepared, because somebody coming to kill you is prepared to do shit. So you should be prepared to defend yourself. So I see no evil act he committed, though the court gave verdict, but does not warrant to that level that he also should take life. Leaving the scene will be the best option, because they were prepared for him. The attackers are prepared to eliminate this man. If he had fled, they will still get him, because they will definitely overpower him. Those ones are with dangerous arms. They are with all sorts of. But he made himself. He defended himself, and he's right. He's good. And I also want the government to bring out this policy of controlling our arms for those that fit to have arms. Each and everybody should be licensed and should be scrutinized before you have arms. In our society today, the headers are causing me harm. If you see, the total numbers of headers, crime being committed in Novia Northeast alone is on the high side. It's on the global page. So one should be prepared to defend himself. It's not when it happened they will start. Oh, had I known, had it been, we know we would have defended. A whole community was rendered homeless because of headers. It has happened years ago and it's still happening. So our government, we self should be prepared to defend ourselves. That's my own opinion.
The case of Sunday Jackson is a very, very sad one. One has tried to see if maybe it was being misrepresented or misreported, but as tried as much as one has, it seems to be that is what the Supreme Court said is what was reported. The man has been sentenced to death. Very unfortunate. The mere mention of the word that he was sentenced to death, convicted and sentenced to death, to me, it sets Nigeria back more than 50 years in our jurisprudence. The reason I say so is very clear. Section 33 of the Constitution of Nigeria. And the Constitution of Nigeria is the ground norm. Any law that is inconsistent with the Constitution, by that level of inconsistency, is null and void, invalid, and must be set aside. So if any law falls short of what the Constitution provides for, that law should go. Now, Section 33 of the Constitution says every person has a right to life, and no one shall be deprived intentionally of his life, save in execution of the sentence of a court in respect of a criminal offence of which he has been found guilty in Nigeria. Section 33(2), I think that is 33. Yes, 33(1) I read now. 33(2) says a person shall not be regarded as having been deprived of his life in contravention of this section if he dies as a result of the use to such extent and in such circumstances as permissible under the law or as necessary. Then 2A says for the defence of any person from unlawful violence or for the defence of property. Now that is very clear. You have a right to defend your person. You have a right to defend your person. You have a right to defend any other person apart from yourself, any other person that is within your precinct of protection. You can defend yourself, you can defend your wife, your children, persons that are anybody who is in danger in your precinct, within your presence. You have a right to defend that person. You also have a right to defend your property. That being the case, if we are to interpret it as it states clearly there, you can defend yourself, defend the persons around you, and defend your property. A person who was farming in his own land, in his own farm, in his own land, he was there sitting in his doing his business privately. He didn't go to attack anybody. He was doing his legitimate business, and suddenly he was attacked from nowhere by another person who left home with the sole intention to go and do harm. That other person, the herdsman who came to attack Sunday Jackson, left home with the intention to go and do harm. See, these are two clear cases. If you read the criminal code's provisions on murder, it is the Fulani herdsman, the herdsman that was killed, that actually committed murder, that actually attempted to commit murder, and he was overpowered. Sunday Jackson ought to be given a medal. In a responsible society, he be given a medal for defending himself and also defending his property. The reasoning of the Supreme Court is that so far as Sunday Jackson has been able to overpower his attacker, the herdsman, he ought to have run away. Our people must learn that in this life, there are things that are born with you. You have certain rights that are born with you. If you are sure that you are within your rights and you have not committed any offense, and somebody just came to attack you, he's attacking you, you have done all that you needed to do to avoid the attack, but he's attacking you on your own property, please defend yourself. You have a right to self-defense. I know that it would dwindle, it will bring down the fight, the push back to defend yourself from the farmers, because the farmers on their own part, they've suffered enough and they've been crying, trying to defend themselves. But with this judgment now, judgment is going to bring down, it's going to dampen their spirit, it's going to dampen the spirit of defending themselves. But they shouldn't see from that perspective. Rather, the farmers should speak up in one voice, go to the National Assembly, push for an amendment of the Constitution and even the Criminal Code, so that it will not expressly so say that if you are in your property and you are attacked, you can do anything to defend yourself. Let it be expressly so say. Because when it is not expressly so say, the way it is, I read the provision just now, you can see that it leaves room for the judgments that can go this way and go that way. It's time we amend this provision to make it now clear. Even though it is so already, but it should now be very clear that anytime you attack a man in his own property, you can be killed and nothing will happen. Everybody understand that one.
Actually, I want to look at it from two major aspects. The reason that I want to look at it from these two aspects is because of some things that I know. When I say some things that I know, is that one, I'm looking at the aspect that have to do with the issue of some things that trend in social media. That when you find out the detail, it might not be as is being presented. So, if the judgment was actually based on what we have been hearing and reading on social media, personally, I would say that is extremely wrong, bad, injustice, and wickedness. But if that is not the true story, that there is something behind it, probably they find out that it was not in self-defense, then that means the government need to come out and make the truth to be known. But for now, since we have not heard contrary outside what has been going on social media, it's a condemnable act, an injustice of judgment. Then, if I want to look at the extent to which one should defend himself from the biblical aspect, I know that some people want to say something, want to react negatively. Some others may also want to see it from another perspective. Why did I say so? For instance, Jesus was saying something. He said that if somebody slap you on one side, you should give the other side. Then if you also look at it, he was also talking about that if somebody is dragging you to the court, he said you should quickly settle the matter on the way. And when you read that scripture down, you now discover that one of the reasons that Jesus was giving such counsel was actually because of the injustice of men. So, when you look at that, I want to say that if you see anything that have to do with trouble, the best is that you should run away from it. Be somebody that we follow the Bible principle, where the Bible told us that we should follow peace with all men. That means we should be peacemaker. Then we should not allow anything that will make us to become in trouble with anybody. But that is not to say that trouble will not come. Because even if you decided to stay on your own, not to relate with people, trouble will still come. So I want to say this. There is a law of the land. Because as far as we are still here on this earth, so you discover that there are things that we cannot do without. There are laws that are guiding everybody. So when it comes to the aspect of self-defense, in the area that is, we are now going out of the biblical principle, it should be that the government should know that if they are not there to provide security for the people don't have option. Therefore then, to at least to also want to rise up to say let them defend themselves, because you can't watch an evil man coming to you to take your life and you now say because tomorrow they will judge and you will not be defended based on to say you kill the person that is trying to kill you, that you should allow them to just come and slaughter you before your face. So you have to also rise. So I want to use this opportunity and this medium to tell our leaders that they should rise up to their own responsibility. They should rise up to their own justice. They should not make those that they are leading to lose confidence in them. Because the truth is this, as far as Nigeria is concerned, the summary of our justice is injustice. It's something that is condemnable. To rise up and do the right.
Something whereby how to defend myself. Just like the way I'm working right now. This is my factory where I'm doing my production. Someone can just walk in down here now and tell me that he wants to come and take over this property from me, and which I knew is for me. It belongs to me. I will take it to the extreme lengths the way I could, because I have to defend the property for myself. Because I will not want someone out there to come and defend it for me, because I own it. I know how I purchase it. And at the same time again, for someone else to just come in and badge on me to tell me that he owns this place, that he wants to take it from me, I will go to extra length to fight and defend myself. If I can defend myself and take a weapon for him, I will not hit him. I can only paralyze him. I won't kill him. I will paralyze him and I will call the police to pick him up.
In English, they have a word called defend. And for somebody that I didn't know, to barge into my personal life, just for him to come and show me, even for any form of intimidation, to go as to something that will affect life, I can go as far as to defend myself. First of all, first defense for my own self, for him not to take my life. Understand? What about if I didn't defend myself and eventually he now succeeded to kill me, for example? I didn't defend myself. How will I like to take God? And everybody must surely blame me. I must try all my best. But if it happens, something must kill a man one day. Understand? You first try. If it now happen mistakenly, the man now died. But in the law court, I don't know, that is for lawyer, I don't know whether if they have a way of they will not use because of, if they are finishing, that's why police need to be there. After finishing the investigation, they know whether if I'm really I'm guilty, I intentionally did it, before they can take anything that they wishes them.
Self-defense is provided for under the criminal code, which is applicable in the southern part of Nigeria, and as well as the penal code applicable to the northern part, which of course where Sunday Jackson incident took place. By virtue of section 286 of the criminal code, self-defense is not, to my own understanding, is not an absolute defense, because going by the provision of that section, it uses the word reasonable necessary force to repel or to retaliate, so to say, any attacker. And of course, we all know that what is reasonable and necessary at that particular point may not be to the ordinary reasoning of an ordinary man. And we are looking at the Supreme Court here. Their judgment, they have their own reasoning why they come to the conclusion that he should have fled why after disarming his attacker. But the question that is begging for an answer is this: when your life is at stake and someone has come to you to kill you and you are able to disarm him, I think in my own little legal knowledge, if you can disarm him and the weapon with which he attack you, you use it against him, I think that should be regarded as self-defense. But still, I think Supreme Court may have their own reasoning. They are the apex court, and they have their own reasoning why they come to that conclusion. Like I said earlier, self-defense is not an absolute defense in law. Because if you look at the defense of property, it's different from the defense of one's body. And in the defense of property, it will be said that until the attacker is within your premises, before you can actually say he has come to attack. Self-defense, to my own best understanding, is not an absolute defense in law. Going by that provision that you have to use reasonably necessary force.
A semi-war between the Christian and the Muslims, and that's the gospel truth. If Jackson was one Alaji Usman Dafodo or one Malam so and so, they won't say that's him. They will tell you self-defense. Okay, you brought animals into somebody's farm to destroy his crops, and the person was trying to like, okay, please stop this, your cattle or animal, whatever, from destroying my crops. Then you attack the person. Self-defense. The person trying to save himself took the knife from you, and you could see the mark all over him. Fought back, and in the process, the other person lost his life. And the Supreme Court was quick to pass judgment. They will not be so quick to pass judgment when it comes to politics, when it comes to what you call it, election and all that. So I think it's one-way ticket. The Christian Union, Christian CAN, PFM should wake up to their responsibility. They should stop fighting themselves. This is a clear motion for believers to think about. Stop fighting yourself and focus on better things. If the Muslim nation can just pass this judgment just like that, then I think this is Nigeria. Nigeria is not a Muslim country or a Christian country. It's for everybody. Whether you're Muslim, whether you're Christian, whether you're non-believer, whatever you're serving, that Nigeria is for everybody. And so the law shouldn't favor one side. So the favorism is going to one side. You can say an Hausa man. Sorry, I'm not trying to be partial here. Selling dagger, knife. Then nothing. When the police, in fact, they won't even arrest him on the street. But you and I, if we walk by the street, there is a knife in our car. The policeman will ask, what are you doing with this knife? When you get to the station, you will explain. But there was some man where they sell for street, we carry dagger, carry knife. They hawk them. Nobody harass them. So that's Nigeria that we are.
We're going to be wrapping it up on Viewpoint on ITV by letting you know that in any situation you find yourselves, and if you must defend yourself, you should be ready to do it in accordance with the law. Don't take laws into your hands, and don't do it in a way that you will end up in trouble. I am Caroline Okonji. Bye for now.